It's a Berlin Brigade 4th of July celebration complete with concert by the Brigade Band and fireworks. The concert begins at 8:30 at the Dryfield Park with fireworks set off around 10. The Dryfield Park, or Duck Pond, is located between Garystrasse and Lischhardtstrasse. Bus transportation will be provided. Check this week's tabulator or observer for schedules.
Happy birthday, America. This is AFN Television, Berlin.
Welcome to the American Forces Network's coverage of the United States Command Berlin Ceremony and Parade on the 4th of July in recognition of the 210th year of the independence of these United States of America. Good morning, everyone. I'm Army Sergeant Brian Hart. I'll be your parade host for today's activities. In just a moment, you'll hear the voice of the parade announcer, Army Staff Sergeant Frank McLaughlin, and he will be giving you the sequence of events that will take place today. The parade is going to be a beautiful event. As you can see, the weather is beautiful out here, and we are enjoying ourselves. The troops are now marching on line. The parade started just moments ago with the Berlin Brigade Band sounding the adjutant's call, and the parade adjutant ordering the troops to march onto the final line. The parade adjutant for today will be the Lieutenant Colonel Michael Spinello. The troops, both Army and Air Force, are finishing the task of marching onto the final line right now. The units that will participate in today's parade are the 298th Army Band, more popularly known as the Berlin Brigade Band. The 4th, 5th, and 6th Battalions of the 502nd Infantry Regiment are here today with companies A, B, and C, or Alpha, Bravo, and Charlie from each battalion here. The Combat Support Battalion of the 502nd Infantry Regiment is also here today. And also for the Air Force, there will be an Air Force element marching from Tempelhof Central Airport. The Berlin Brigade drill team will also be here. They will be here for a performance. We will have a flyover of Army and Air Force aircraft and a drive-by of military equipment. All of today's activity takes root in what is called, in the Army, drill and ceremony. America owes its military drill and ceremony to both the British and the Germans, who ironically are also here in Berlin. And that 210 years later after the beginning of it all. What you see here today is a representation of activity that occurred in medieval times when English troops prepared to go to a crusade, a war fought in the name of God or religious reasons. The troops that you see marching on line are doing so in a very ceremonial fashion that happened in a ceremonial fashion after what happened during the Crusade Wars. In times of crusades, the soldiers that would go out on the crusades would gather so the townspeople could give them a send-off. They would display themselves in front of the townspeople with their favorite knight, or the knight that the troops were under, in front of them. Today, the representation here of that knight is the battalion commander and also the battalion commander's staff. The troops line up behind him, much the same way as they did in the Crusades almost 1,000 years ago. The commander of troops today represents the senior knight, or the most experienced knight, and he is also in front of the entire group of troops. For today's parade, the commander of troops is the Berlin Brigade Commander, Brigadier General Jack Woodall. The troops are wearing a very distinctive uniform today, the traditional parade uniform of the Berlin Brigade, black shiny helmets, white pistol belts. They look very sharp. Today at the parade was something of a concern at first. Yesterday, the weatherman said partly cloudy, perhaps, even perhaps a chance of thunderstorms. It is indeed not that way today. A beautiful day, slightly windy, a little bit cooler than yesterday. Nice for the troops, nice for the spectators, and a very, very pleasant day to celebrate our nation's birthday. Also today, the Statue of Liberty is 100 years old, and of course, about 6 hours behind us in time is New York City, and you can better believe what New York is going to be like on today. We will celebrate a little bit of Americana also here in Berlin. Later on this evening, we will have a band concert performed by the Berlin Brigade Band and a fireworks display. The crowd seems to be enjoying activities here today. There's a picture of the band. Lieutenant Colonel Michael Spinello is coming online. He is the parade adjutant, and he will start the parade officially in just a moment. I mentioned a moment ago the history involving drill and ceremony in the United States Army, and it came from England. It also came from Germany. Right now what you're viewing is a representation of the townspeople marching around the troops to say, good luck, have a good battle, and come back safe. And that's what the band is representing today. They're representing the townspeople. The troops lined up before them, showing them that they are proud, they will defend and protect them on the crusade. And the townspeople circling them and saying, you have our support. It is very ceremonial, dating back to, as I mentioned before, the crusade. It is ironic to note that our origin in drill and ceremony comes from England, who actually nearly defeated us because of their staunch drill and ceremony in the Revolutionary War. As a matter of fact, drill and ceremony came into the American Army because of that rigorous, I'm thinking of a word here, the discipline that the British troops had. At the completion of that march, the reviewing party will arrive. The reviewing party for today's parade is the U.S. Commander of Berlin, Major General John Mitchell, and with him, the U.S. Minister to Berlin, the Honorable John Kornblum.
Headquarters.
Please rise for the arrival of the review party and remain standing for honor. Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated.
Now that the reviewing party has been justly honored, an honor group will now march onto the parade field here at the 4th of July plots at McNair Barracks. The honor group consists of flag bearers and 2 platoons of honor guards. The flag bearers carry each of the flags of the 50 states of the United States. In addition, they will be carrying 6 flags for the various territories and districts also of the United States. And a tribute will be played, or rather paid, to each of the 50 states and districts and territories on this, the birthday of the nation. It wasn't really until about a year and some 3 months after the Revolutionary War actually started that the Declaration of Independence was signed on July 4th, 1776. Matter of fact, it seems like, well, I guess I'm dating myself here, not moments ago that we celebrated the bicentennial of the birth of our nation in 1976, but indeed a whole decade has passed since then. Looking back to the Revolutionary War, it is interesting to note that all the parties involved in that war are represented here today. The French, the British, the Americans, and the Germans. A man by the name of Baron von Steuben was the one who introduced drill and ceremony to the American Army, to a fledgling group of soldiers who couldn't seem to master discipline in the battlefield. They called for Hessian troops to come in and help, and Baron von Steuben was in charge of that group, and he was the one that began teaching drill and ceremonies to the troops, which taught them discipline in the battlefield, made them brave and courageous, and rather than retreat, they stayed and fought their ground. And indeed, we have independence today as a result of that. Ironically, the French had a part in the Revolutionary War too, because it was they who lost to the British Army, and the British Army who wanted to tax the colonists to help pay for that war.
On this 210th anniversary of our independence, it is appropriate to be reminded of these words set down by our forefathers. Man is soon among the powerful, a separate and equal state to which the laws of nature and of nature's God entitles them. A decent respect of the opinions of mankind requires that they should declare the cause for which impel them to the separation. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain inalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, that to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed, that when any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or abolish it, and to institute new government, laying its foundation on such principles and organizing its powers in such form as to then shall seem most likely to affect the safety and happiness. We, therefore, the representatives of the United States of America, in General Congress assembled, appealing to the Supreme Judge of the world for the rectitude of our intentions, do, and in the name and by the authority of the good people of these colonies declare that these united colonies are, and of right, ought to be free and independent states. And for the support of this declaration, with a firm reliance on the protection of the divine providence, we mutually pledge to each other our lives, our fortunes, and our sacred honor. Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for the salute to the states of the United States of America and our national anthem. It is traditional during the Independence Day celebrations to fire a salute to each of our 50 states. The salute honors each state individually in the order of its admission to the Union. Ladies and gentlemen, the states of the United States of America. The first state, Delaware, 7 December 1787. The Keystone State, Pennsylvania, 12 December 1787. The Garden State, New Jersey, 18 December 1787. The Empire State of the South, Georgia, 2 January 1788. The Nutmeg State, Connecticut, 9 January 1788. The Bay State, Massachusetts, 6 February 1788. The Old Line State, Maryland, 28 April 1788. The Palmetto State, South Carolina, 23 May 1788. The Granite State, New Hampshire, 21 June 1788. The Old Dominion, Virginia, 26 June 1788. The Empire State, New York, 26 July 1788. The Tar Heel State, North Carolina, 21 November 1789. The Ocean State, Rhode Island, 29 May 1790. The Green Mountain State, Vermont, 4 March 1791. The Bluegrass State, Kentucky, 1 June 1792. The Volunteer State, Tennessee, 1 June 1796. The Buckeye State, Ohio, 1 March 1803. The Pelican State, Louisiana, 30 April 1812. The Hoosier State, Indiana, 11 December 1816. The Magnolia State, Mississippi, 10 December 1817. The Prairie State, Illinois, 3 December 1818. The Yellowhammer State, Alabama, 14 December 1819. The Pine Tree State, Maine, 15 March 1820. The Show Me State, Missouri, 10 August 1821. The Land of Opportunity, Arkansas, 15 June 1836. The Wolverine State, Michigan, 26 January 1837. The Sunshine State, Florida, 3 March 1845. The Lone Star State, Texas, 29 December 1845. The Hawkeye State, Iowa, 28 December 1846. The Badger State, Wisconsin, 29 May 1848. The Golden State, California, 9 September 1850. North Star State, Minnesota, 11 May 1858. The Beaver State, Oregon, 14 February 1859. The Sunflower State, Kansas, 29 January 1861. The Mountain State, West Virginia, 20 June 1863. Nevada, 31 October 1864. The Cornhusker State, Nebraska, 1 March 1867. The Centennial State, Colorado, 1 August 1876. The Coyote State, South Dakota, 2 November 1889. The Flickertail State, North Dakota, 2 November 1889. The Treasure State, Montana, 8 November 1889. The Evergreen State, Washington, 11 November 1889. The Gem State, Idaho, 3 July 1890. The Equality State, Wyoming, 10 July 1890. The Beehive State, Utah, 4 January 1896. The Sooner State, Oklahoma, 16 November 1907. The Land of Enchantment, New Mexico, 6 January 1912. The Grand Canyon State, Arizona, 14 February 1912. The Last Frontier State, Alaska, 3 January 1959. The Aloha State, Hawaii, 21 August 1959. The American Union is characterized by diversity. It includes, in addition to the 50 states, 6 districts or territories, each of which has its own special status. These are the District of Columbia, 1 December 1800. Guam, 10 December 1898. American Samoa, 19 February 1900. Virgin Islands, 31 March 1917. The Trust Territories, 18 July 1947. The Commonwealth of Puerto Rico, 25 July 1952.
Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated.
Hooray!
This very special day in American history has added significance to the United States Army Berlin Brigade, for today is our Unit Day. Department of the Army Citation. This is to certify that the day, 4 July, selected by the United States Army Berlin Brigade as Unit Day, in commemoration of the official assumption of control by the United States troops in the American sector of Berlin on 4 July 1945, is hereby officially recognized and recorded as of being enduring significance in the history of the organization. Given under my hand in the city of Washington, this 29th day of September, 1967. Signed, Stanley R. Resort, Secretary of the Army.
Will now pass and review in front of the reviewing party And the reviewing party, if we want to go into a historical note, is very similar to the king or monarch who was back in the Crusade times. And you're bringing the troops in front of him so he can approve them going off, and of course he will lead them in battle. This all being representative. They are wheeling around. It is a wheel around because that's what it looks like, a big wheel as they turn. It's a 9-man front, and it's a very difficult maneuver to do, even though it looks relatively easy. It's an individual effort. The individuals on the inside are barely walking. The individuals on the outside are taking long steps. The way they do it, it doesn't look that way. It looks easy. That's because they've rehearsed and practiced so long for this particular time. Now to take a moment to bring you a special Independence Day message from the Secretary of Defense, the Honorable Caspar W. Weinberger.
Today, our nation celebrates its 210th birthday. Our founding fathers pledged their lives and their fortunes and their sacred honor in pursuit of liberty and justice. And they put their signatures on the Declaration of Independence in defiance of a king. And in similar fashion, the men and women who today serve in our armed forces pledge to support the continuing pursuit of liberty and justice in defiance of despots who would, if they ever had the chance, destroy the political and the religious and the individual freedoms that we've all enjoyed since that first Independence Day of 1776. So as we celebrate across the nation, from our refurbished Statue of Liberty in New York Harbor to the Golden Gate in San Francisco, to Diamond Head in Hawaii, and to the snowy peaks of Alaska, we know that it is only through your courage and your commitment to the same spirit of independence that flourished within our founding fathers that gives us the opportunity to observe this great day in American history every year. I'm very confident that we will be able to continue to celebrate our nation's independence for untold years to come because of your service in the cause of liberty and freedom and justice for all. And for that, we're most grateful to all of you. Thank you.
Like this, it is truly when you can see the pageantry of such an element of marching soldiers. In a moment, the names of the units will be mentioned, and the various units marching in review will be honored.
Approaching the reviewing stand is the Commander of Troops, Brigadier General John D. Woodall. The below brigade band is commanded by Chief Warrant Officer David M. Smith. The First Sergeant is First Sergeant Joe E. Bates. The 4th Battalion, 502nd Infantry, is commanded by Lieutenant Colonel Karen C. Brown. The Command Sergeant Major is Command Sergeant Major Robert Pearson. Alpha Company is commanded by Captain Richard Wiles. The First Sergeant is First Sergeant Robert Dawson. Bravo Company is commanded by Captain Gregory Miller. The First Sergeant is First Sergeant Thomas Dorsey. Charlie Company is commanded by Captain John A. Davis. The First Sergeant is First Sergeant Harold Burton. The 5th Battalion, 502nd Infantry, is commanded by Lieutenant Colonel Robert B. Salve. The Command Sergeant Major is Command Sergeant Major James P. Adams. Alpha Company is commanded by Captain Stephen L. Morris. The First Sergeant is First Sergeant John McBee. Bravo Company is commanded by Captain Gregory N. Soter. The First Sergeant is First Sergeant Michael T. Rogers. Charlie Company is commanded by Captain Michael S. Linnington. The First Sergeant is First Sergeant Robert Fortin. The Honor Group is commanded by Captain Kenneth J. Adams. The Honor Platoon leaders are First Lieutenant Michael F. Beach and First Lieutenant Robert A. Coulthard. The Brigade's Command Sergeant Major, with our national colors, is Command Sergeant Major Gary Donaldson. The 6th Battalion, 502nd Infantry, is commanded by Lieutenant Colonel John M. Hutchison. The Command Sergeant Major is Command Sergeant Major David L. Wilson. Alpha Company is commanded by Captain John J. Kelly. The First Sergeant is First Sergeant Lewis M. Jordan. Bravo Company is commanded by Captain David C. Mullen. The First Sergeant is First Sergeant David E. Kahn. Charlie Company is commanded by Captain Patrick J. Carley. The First Sergeant is First Sergeant James P. Foster. The Combat Support Battalion is commanded by Lieutenant Colonel John J. Marcello. The Command Sergeant Major is Sergeant Major Eli Barber. F Company, 40th Armor, is commanded by Captain Richard P. Fink. The First Sergeant is First Sergeant Joseph T. Beebe. The 42nd Engineer Company is commanded by Captain Robert L. McClure. The First Sergeant is First Sergeant George E. Brown. Charlie Battery of the 94th Field Artillery is commanded by Captain David R. Hampton. The First Sergeant is First Sergeant Carl Collins. The Air Force Marching Group Commander is Lieutenant Colonel Leroy Shoemaker. The commander of the 73rd 50th Air Base Group is Colonel Lonnie Spivey. The marching element from the 73rd 50th Air Base Group is commanded by Major Kim Doxey. The First Sergeant is Senior Master Sergeant James Snyder. commander of the 6912th Electronic Security Group is Colonel J. James. The marching element from the 6912th Electronic Security Group is commanded by First Lieutenant Richard Egbert. The first sergeant is Master Sergeant John Burton. The commander of the 1946th Information Systems Squadron is Lieutenant Colonel Richard Madden. The marching element for the 1946 Information Systems Squadron is commanded by Captain James Brown. The first sergeant is Master Sergeant William Duckworth. Following the pass review is a Berlin Brigade drill team to conduct a precision drill performance. The drill master is Sergeant First Class Gerard A. Blackshear.
and the crowd surely enjoyed that performance. Nothing can be added to a performance like that. Next, however, is an aircraft flyby. The first thing you will see will be 3 UH-1H helicopters from the United States Army. You will then see 2 UV-20 fixed-wing aircraft with a C-12 fixed-wing aircraft in the middle of that. And that will be followed by, those are fixed-wing Army aircraft, followed by a C-130, C-141, and the world's largest airplane, a C-5A. Fixed-wing aircraft, the C-12 is in the middle and the UV-20s are on either side. Now for the larger aircraft.
Vehicles and crews of the 5th Battalion, 502nd Infantry, and Combat Support Battalion. Executive Officer for the 5th Battalion, 502nd Infantry, is Major Robert B. Fitton.
The vehicles now on your screen are the Army's
The Executive Officer for Combat Support Battalion is Major Rosendo Solis. gentlemen, please rise as the national colors pass to your front and remain standing for the Air Force and Army songs. Ladies and gentlemen, the reviewing officer will now present a streamer for the best marching company in each battalion to the battalion commanders and the Air Force Group Commander. The best marching company from the 4th Battalion, 502nd Infantry, was Bravo Company. The best marching company from 5th Battalion, 502nd Infantry, was Charlie Company. The best marching company from 6th Battalion, 502nd Infantry, was Bravo Company. The best marching company from Combat Support Battalion was Charlie Battery, 94th Field Artillery. The best marching element from the Air Force marching group was the 7350th Air Base Group.
And that marks the conclusion of today's activities. We thank you for joining us today for AFN's live coverage of the 4th of July ceremony and parade at the 4th of July plots here at McNair Barracks. We remind you that the parade will be rebroadcast July 5th, Saturday, that's tomorrow, at 12:30 in the afternoon for those who weren't able to see it today. We also remind you about the big Berlin Brigade Band concert tonight at the Dreyfus Park, otherwise called sometimes
Ladies and
the
gentlemen,
Duck
this
Pond.
concludes the ceremony. Everyone is cordially invited to attend the band concert and the fireworks display at 20:30 hours tonight at Dreyfus Park. Please remain seated until the reviewing officer and honored guests have departed.
Well, let's remind you once again about that band concert tonight with the Berlin Brigade Band. That's at the Dreyfus Park. That starts at 8:30 this evening, and there will be fireworks at about 10 o'clock tonight. It is all free. There are food and refreshments available. We think you'll enjoy yourself and have a good time on this, the Independence Day of the United States of America. For myself, Army Sergeant Brian Hart, and all of us at AFN, some 22 of us who are out here bringing you this parade today, we wish you a very happy American holiday, very happy American birthday, happy 4th of July. Goodbye.